Thanks for asking me about Chopin. I could talk about him probably forever, but to dive right into your question, for those of you who don't know, Chopin was actually born and raised in Poland and then later moved to France. And you can kind of hear the sense of longing or yearning for his homeland in all of his music. Like, it's kind of that like sense of nostalgia and hopefulness, and I can never quite put his music into words, but that's part of why I love it so much. But probably the easiest or like most obvious link to his Polish heritage and Polish culture that you'll see in Chopin's music is just his use of folk dances. So the mazurka and the polonaise are two really famous Polish dances that Chopin wrote a lot of. So I don't actually have any with me right now. I'm like half of my music library is at my parents' house, unfortunately, but I do have a waltz here. And one thing that really sets apart the mazurka and the polonaise from other social dances like the waltz is an emphasis on beat 2 or 3 of the measure instead of just beat 1. So in like a waltz, you'll hear this sense of like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But a mazurka, you hear an emphasis on the second beat instead. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And it's been a long time since I looked into these dances, but I feel like there is like some kind of stomp or like a stepping movement on that. But I want to play you this little section of the Farewell Waltz. It's Opus 69, number 1 in A flat major. And there's just like this section of the waltz where instead of like staying in a waltz pattern, he moves it into being more like a mazurka. So I'll play just a little bit of that. So 1, 2, 2. So hopefully you were able to hear the emphasis on the second beat, especially when I got to the parts that had like very clear, and it's accented in the music itself. It's actually shown that way, and the notes are held out, and it's just, yeah, it's a really cool connection that you see show up in a lot of his music. So I hope that answered your question.